If the sheriff goes out, he might spread it to others. Martin must know something, so he had to slice the sheriff's arm open, and with his own blood, Martin sealed the music box curse in the sheriff's body, and indeed that was the case. Once the sheriff returned to town, he frequently saw the music box mysteriously appearing nearby, accompanied by some terrifying hallucinations, visible only to him, of course. However, that night, in a bid to transfuse his son, the sheriff unleashed the blood curse and passed it onto the body monster, though it ended up killing him too. From then on, the music box seal was broken, seeing it caused terrifying hallucinations. For example, Black Elgin saw a music box appear mysteriously while showering. Before he reacted, a strange woman pushed him underwater. Perhaps for Elgin it's a hallucination, but it can cause drowning. Next to suffer was Mary, uniquely linked to Dr. Chris, but she too had bizarre hallucinations after seeing the music box. As the music box power grew stronger, it impacted more people. That day, Sheriff Kenny suddenly noticed the phone ringing at home, which is quite surprising since phones hardly ever work. Curiously, he answered the phone, only to hear a series of whispers on the other end describing a bizarre woman saying, they destroy, steal, no one's free here. The sheriff was baffled, and it just kept repeating. Ultimately, Kenny hung up the phone, but just then, he noticed countless cicadas appearing in the pot his mom was cooking. Along with them came the eerie music box. When one cicada landed on the sheriff's arm, he suddenly jolted awake from what turned out to be a nightmare, but looking at the scars on his arm, it was clear that they were caused by the cicadas in his dream. Meaning from now on, those nightmares could inflict real damage in reality. The appearance of cicadas seemed to have opened Pandora's box, as residents of the town began to find themselves hollowed out in their sleep. This was far scarier than the skin-wearing monster. According to the husband of one victim, his wife mumbled in her sleep some phrases like they touch, they destroy, they steal, no one here is free, and then her entire body just suddenly burst open. This scene terrified the man. The sheriff was very worried upon hearing this. Obviously, he couldn't solve being killed in sleep, unlike the monster stopped by clothing. For safety's sake, the sheriff could only notify the townsfolk, urging them to stay awake temporarily to see if they could find and fix the source of the problem. That evening, Sarah found the deputy. Kenny's father was killed by the monster due to Sarah. So Kenny harbored a deep hatred for Sarah, but under Sheriff All Black's advice, he decided not to do anything rash to her for now. Let's remind, Sarah had this special ability to hear the strange sounds and demons' whispers. This almost got her tempted by demon, so she rushed to kill little Ethan. Now, she told Kenny she felt something was seriously off and that she was filled with dread about the forest outside, as if this place thrived off people's pain. Sarah then revealed the origin of the cicadas. She said her late brother Nathan was terrified of cicadas since he was little, extremely terrified. If people in this town die, would something used to fears of the deceased to hurt others? Perhaps those strange cicadas now might just be Nathan's nightmares from dying here. Hearing this, could we come to a conclusion that the skin-wearing monsters and demons in the form similarly? Could long ago townsfolk's fears turn into skin-wearing monsters upon death? After all, Jed saw not only some mysterious symbols appearing, but also accidentally caught sight of bizarre massacre scenes. Based on previous clues, it seems certain individuals experience massacres and their fears morphed into demons haunting the land. Though the specific answers may be revealed in later episodes, let's continue the Music River story. However, before diving into this reality, let's first talk about three people: Mally, Dr. Chris, and those words the sheriff heard on the phone. They touch, they destroy, they steal, no one here is free. First, let's talk about Mally. He resides in the hospital with Dr. Chris but is a notorious recluse, stealing microbials whenever the doctor is away. Now, he's troubled by music and hallucinations, causing him to ask the doctor to tie him to the... However, that night, Mally suddenly saw a swarm of cicadas flying through the windows, sweeping toward him. Mally was already caught in a painful struggle, almost as if corresponding to the phrase they steal. As Mally's eyes turned white, he fell into a complete coma. Next up, the newcomer, bus tourist Randall, who had always disbelieved in the existence of demons. He also didn't buy what Donald was saying and lived alone in his bus outside, believing someone was intentionally orchestrating this whole thing to trap everyone. He even suspected that Donald and the sheriff might be behind this as conspirators since he had never seen the skin-wearing monster actually kill anyone. But then, he saw the sheriff and deputy packing a body, thinking they were town higher-ups. He thought they'd killed tourists, but feared the sheriff's weapons and didn't know what the sheriff and deputy were up to. Skin-wearing monster killed by Old Black. After an autopsy, they had no useful clue, so they decided to burn it, which led Randall to contemplate wildly. Without wasting time, he tied up Donald using trickery. Just as he was pressuring Donald for the truth in a small woods, Jim suddenly appeared. Earlier, Randall had confided his suspicions to Jim. so the hidden gems of a turned camper at night to spot any spies leaving town. However, now seeing Randall had tied Donald to a tree, Jim did not approve of his actions. As he prepared to free Donald, the furious Randall suddenly shoved him aside. Randall drew a knife to stop Jim interfering. Luckily, the sheriff arrived just in time. Under the threat of the sheriff's gun, Randall had no choice but to drop the knife and step aside. As Donald was freed, that night Randall faced horrifying hallucinations in the forest. He saw swarms of cicadas rushing toward him, which might align with that phrase they destroy. By now, 2 individuals had encountered the cicadas' threat, their fates unknown. That very night, Jim and his murdered daughter Julie seemed to face similar circumstances, although what her connection to their touch was